everybody. Welcome to OpenCV Weekly Webinar. I'm Satya Malik. I'm the CEO of OpenCV.org. Today, we have a very exciting guest. Andrew Salama is a high school student who is developing a computer vision solution to track and locate sea lion population. And this is to answer the question, why is the sea lion population decreasing? Is it illegal hunting, or is it, shark and killer whales killing them, or is it overfishing, etc.? And Andrew, as I mentioned before, is a high school student who wanted to do a project in computer vision. And I'm just surprised how enterprising high school students are these days. We have another high school student who worked on a project with us for face recognition, creating videos for face recognition, OpenCV Face Recognition. And it's just fascinating how motivated high school students these days are. So we will get to Andrew in just a bit. But first, I want to introduce Phil Nelson, who is the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV. Phil produces the show, and if anything goes wrong, it is his fault.
That's right. It is always Phil's fault. It's a good default for it to be Phil's fault. Good morning, everybody. I am your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none. I am also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you can call me Phil. I'm here to remind you of a few things we do every single week here on OpenCV Weekly Webinar, the first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Later in the episode, we'll have a trivia question. The first person to answer that will get the OpenCV course of their choosing, absolutely free. You can check out what courses are available there and maybe buy your own if you want. Invest in your future at opencv.org/courses. We're also taking Q&A from you in the audience. So if you're on Zoom, use the little Q&A button at the bottom of your screen there. I almost got it. It's like right there. To ask your question at any time during the show. We'll do our best to flow them into conversation and ask during the presentation. We've also tried to save some time at the end for interesting questions that we haven't gotten to yet. So stay tuned for that. Before we get started, we've got a couple things here at the top of the show. Some really exciting news coming out from the world of open source robotics today. Our friends at Open Robotics today just announced the Open Source Robotics Corporation, which is the for-profit arm of the Open Source Robotics Foundation, is being acquired by Intrinsic, which is an Alphabet company. The good news is this will let all of the developers and team working on open robotics like Ross and Gazebo to have a little more security in their jobs and not be kind of beholden to the whims of the nonprofit market, and not have to do different contract work and really focus on Ross and Gazebo, which is and Open RMF, for example, which is really great. Also, Gazebo, Ross, all that stuff will remain open source. Nobody's taking it over or anything like that. So shout out to the team. I know this is a big deal for them, and they're really excited about it. Shout out to Kat Scott, who gave me the Iggy this morning. You can find out more. There's a blog post on IEEE Spectrum that I'll link here. There's also the Ross Discourse, has a much more in-depth thing there. It sounds like a good deal for everybody, so congrats to the team there. Also, later in the episode here, we'll do a quick announce of the grand prize winners of the OpenCV AI Scavenger Hunt sponsored by Intel. We had intended to announce those a couple weeks ago, but things got kind of slowed down. The winners are excited, and we're happy to reveal them today. You can also go to opencv.org/hunt to see those winners right now. That is all from me for the moment. Back to you, Satya.
All right. Very welcome, Andrew. And it's your show now. Please introduce yourself. And after that, we'll go over the presentation.
Hello, good morning. I'm very happy to be on the show with you this morning. My name is Andrew Salama. I'm a 10th grade student, and I attend Options for Youth St. Gabriel online program. I've been involved recently in computer programming, and I was really interested in computer vision. I've also liked marine mammals, so I felt that a project like this would be a great opportunity to combine my different interests. And without further ado, let's get into the presentation. So I can share my screen. All right, so today I'm excited to share with you Steller Sight, using machine learning to analyze the possible impacts of environmental factors on species population. So I'll go over how I came up with the idea of this software. stellar sea lion conservation, the functionality of my software, how I train my model, and also how my software incorporates the OpenCV library. All right, so you're probably asking yourself, how does a 15-year-old come up making a Steller site software? Which is kind of a good question. I think it's something that should be answered. So a couple of months ago, 8 months to be exact, I learned Python programming, and I gained a really good solid foundation in Python programming, and I wanted to apply my skills to some sort of a real world project. So one day I was browsing on the internet and I happened to pass by an OpenCV tutorial about computer vision. I saw these bounding boxes and I thought that might be cool. Maybe I can do that with Python someday. So I kept that in the back of my mind. And then one day I was at the zoo, the San Diego Zoo, and they have these buses that go around the zoo. And there's a tour guide that's narrating along the way. And the tour guide was mentioning this website called Zooniverse. So I was wondering, what is this Zooniverse website? And once I found out what this website is, that totally changed everything, and it gave me an opportunity to implement computer vision. So let's discover what is Zooniverse. Zooniverse is this website where different groups of wildlife researchers post photographs, and they ask internet users to go through them manually to count the animals in the images, classify the species present, identify the behaviors that the animals are showing, etc. And each image is shown to multiple internet users for verification purposes. So maybe if one person gets it wrong and the other person gets it right, that would help get rid of the error. But of course, this is good, but it does make the process a lot more slow. So that's something else to consider. There are a bunch of different projects on Zooniverse, different groups of researchers, and these different projects have different goals and they focus on different animal species. So let me give a couple examples of real Zooniverse projects. So here's one project. It's called Nebraska Wildlife Watch. And in this project, let's see while it loads. 1 second. All right, 1 second. All right, so they give me this image and they ask me, do you see any of these species here? They have badger, bird, bison, bobcat, etc. In this image, I do not see any animals, so I can click nothing here. Identify, done. Here's another image, same kind of thing. Let's see here. Same thing. I want to find an animal.
So that itself shows the problem here, right? It's so tedious. There's no animal here, and it still triggers.
Oh, hey, there's a raccoon. It looks like
raccoon.
Here's a. So I can click raccoon. Where's raccoon here? Identify, done. There we go. Got some deer. Identify, done. So on and so forth. Here's another example. It's called Wild Watch Kenya. This particular project, they're in partnership with the San Diego Zoo. This is the one that I heard about when I was at the San Diego Zoo. This particular project, they actually are working on a machine learning computer vision algorithm to automate this task. It's currently under development, I believe. So that was encouraging to me. This image, I see goats, I think. So I would click livestock. Maybe, I think, what is that? I think 5 in total. What behaviors do you see? Standing, I see one right there, eating. Any young present? No. So I have to go through all of these kind of questions and it is tedious. So that's another example. Last one that I want to show you, probably the most important.
I have a question, Andrew. Why do people do it? I mean, is it just out of goodness of heart? They just want to help. Why would anybody go and do this tedious thing at these websites? Do they get some points or something like they can redeem?
Actually get any kind of reward. It is just a volunteering opportunity, I guess. And some For me personally, I think it's interesting just to see the animals.
Yeah.
But some of this particular website, everything is being done by volunteers.
Got
But
it.
some organizations where this kind of manual, tedious work has to be done by paid researchers. And that is, of course, that's more costly.
Yeah.
That's something where this or kind of computer vision software would be even more useful because it would not only be saving time, but also be saving money.
Right.
So anyway, here's another website project. It's called Killer Whale Count. They're asking me, are there any killer whales present in the image? I can click no. Are there any Steller sea lions present? Yes. And here's another one, same kind of thing.
So for people who may not be familiar, like the first sea lion I saw in my life was after I came to San Diego. So I had never seen a sea lion. So sea lions and seals, I mean, they look very similar from a distance. But here, I think I don't even know whether these are seals or sea lions. They look like seals to me. But these are the things that are laying on the ground on the shore, right? On this. So yeah, all those are. I think they are seals, but they may be sea lions.
I think if I recall correctly, one of the big differences that sea lions have a little ear flap.
Yeah, they do. So for users who may not be familiar with the animal species in the photos, they actually have this little tab called Field Guide. So they give you examples, like for example, here's some examples of Steller sea lions. And then they also give you some other animals that you might encounter, such as, this is a seal. Seals are very rare in these image. There's a sea otter, harbor seal, a hawk, have some geese. I've seen some geese, those are pretty cool. Puffins, etc. So they do give you a little tutorial just so that they get you familiar with these species so that you can identify them. So the whole goal of my project is to automate this second question right here. So the whole goal is to create a computer vision model that once you upload the image, it can automatically answer this question. Well, you might be asking, why not this question also? The problem with the killer whale detection is that the killer whales are extremely, extremely rare. I think there are only like 10 images or so of the killer whales. So the training data set is extremely limited and there really is no practical way for me to train a model to be able to detect them accurately. And also the killer whales are so small, their fins, in real life, obviously they're big, but in the images, they appear so small. Sometimes the entire thing, the entire killer whale fin, it will only be inside a 5x5 pixel area. So that's almost nothing to go off of. So I decided that since the sea lions are very common, I can make a computer vision model to automatically detect whether or not sea lions are present. So that's the goal. All right, so now we understand that. So I saw the opportunity to implement AI to automate this extremely slow process. And now the next section that I would like to go over is sea lion conservation and the efforts being done to preserve the Steller sea lion. All right. So the Steller sea lion population, for 1 second while it loads. All right, still loading. Is it still loading? Oh, it's weird. Oops. Let's go back here. All right.
It's not full screen yet. Yeah.
It isn't? Oh, let me do that again. All right.
Okay.
The Steller sea lion population is dropping very sharply. There's been a 94% decline in only the past 30 years. So it's very concerning. And this decline is very puzzling to scientists, especially that in other regions, the sea lion population is increasing. So in the region where the population is decreasing, that particular region is called the Western Aleutian Islands of Alaska. Within that particular region, that's where the decline is occurring. If you go to other regions, such as the Eastern Aleutian Islands, you'll see that the population is increasing. And many other regions besides the Eastern Aleutian Islands, you see the populations are increasing. So scientists noticed that there has to be something weird going on this particular Western Aleutian population. If sea lion populations are increasing almost everywhere, then there has to be something weird going on in this particular region where the population is declining. So scientists want to pinpoint the root cause of the decline so that they can take measures to combat this particular cause. All right, so NOAA is one of the leaders in stellar sea lion conservation, and they have identified a list of possible factors that can contribute to stellar sea lion population decline. These would include predation, mainly by sharks and killer whales. Also vessel strikes. So if a sea lion gets hit by a boat, that can lead to injury or death. Also illegal shooting. Another threat is entanglement inside nets that can choke the sea lions, or sometimes that can even lead to some of their limbs being removed. Also toxins, whether that be oil, gas, fuel, chemicals, etc. Overfishing, obviously, if people are taking too many fish out of the ocean, that leaves a smaller amount for the sea lions on their plate. So that leads to starvation. Another one that people probably would look over, but one that has been identified by NOAA is watercraft disturbance. What do I mean by watercraft disturbance? Well, if you have a bunch of noisy vessels, such as kayaks and paddle boats and any other kind of watercraft, and these types of boats can be disturbing to sea lions. They cause them to be stressed when they see all these boats passing by, and that would cause them to avoid, according to NOAA, that would cause them to avoid having children because they feel that this is not a safe place when they see all of these distractions and disturbances. So that's another thing that can contribute, even indirectly, but it is something that contributes to the decline. So what are NOAA researchers doing to combat this decline? Well, what they're doing right now is they're kind of in research gathering mode. They're trying to gather any kind of data that would help them to pinpoint the root cause. The whole goal of all of this kind of research is finding that cause. So they've stationed a bunch of these remote cameras in the Aleutian Islands. They put them on high places like cliffs and hills, and these cameras are pointed so that they take photos of sea lions in their resting places, such as beaches, or they call these places rookeries or haulouts, where the sea lions can often be found lying on the rocks or the beaches, stuff like that. These images are automatic, they're programmed to automatically take one image every 10 minutes. So it's based on a time interval. The hope is that sea lions would appear in as many of the images as possible. So scientists can go back to these images, and maybe they can make some observations. They can gather some useful information that would help them to research the sea lions more in depth. And as you can imagine, when you have 20 cameras in the island range, that adds up quickly to 400,000 images on a yearly basis. And as I was showing you earlier with that Zooniverse website, that can be very, very tedious. And I want to show you some examples of remote camera images. So here's one. There are a couple other images of the stellar sea lions in their natural habitat. So you might be asking, okay, these remote cameras are cool, but how do they actually help stellar sea lion conservation? How do these images help? Researchers are studying stellar sea lion behaviors so that they can collect more data that could possibly help them pinpoint the cause of the decline, and once they've identified this cause, that would provide them guidance on how to preserve the sea lions. So there are a bunch of possible correlations or trends that can be identified in this particular data set of Steller sea lions. For example, one possible connection that the researchers can make is maybe they will notice that the sea lions are very uncommon in the regions where there are low populations of cod, for example. Maybe there's a certain region where there are many fishing boats that are taking away all of the cod population. Maybe in this particular region, this researchers also noticed that the sea lion population is low. Maybe perhaps overfishing of these particular fish types is the cause of the decline. That's one possible correlation that could be found. Another possible correlation is that maybe the researchers will notice that there are very few sea lion pups in regions that have high levels of industrial chemicals. Maybe the researchers will notice a correlation between industrial chemicals and sea lion death. That's another one. Sea lion population could also be correlated to killer whale predation. So I was showing you that killer whale count website earlier. In that particular project, the researchers are trying to discover the magnitude of the effect of killer whale predation on the sea lion population. So they're trying to discover how much is the killer whale predation affecting the sea lion population. And if this magnitude is great, then maybe this is the root cause. Maybe the killer whale predation is the root cause of the Steller sea lion population decline. So there are a bunch of possible culprits, and this research is trying to pinpoint that cause. So I showed you some examples earlier of remote camera images. Another thing that can make the process slower of going through the images manually is some of the images do not have any sea lions in them. So as researchers are trying to go through, they're trying to focus on the images that actually have sea lions. It can kind of slow them down when they pass through all of these images that do not have any sea lions at all. So I have some examples here of different possible causes as to why there may not be a sea lion in an image. Maybe the image is foggy, like the top one. Maybe the image itself is clear, but there are no sea lions lying on the beach that particular day. Maybe the image is obstructed, like in this example, we have eagle feather that's blocking the camera. Sometimes you'll get water droplets. Sometimes you get snow. Out in the rugged Aleutian Islands, almost anything can happen. So that can clog up the data set. And around, I would estimate 1/3 to a half of the images do not contain any sea lions. So this is an opportunity for automation. So the goal of my project is to automatically detect sea lions in the images with high speed and high accuracy. I developed Steller Sight, my software, using Python, and I used multiple open source libraries such as OpenCV, PySimple GUI, Roboflow, and Excel Writer. In the next section, we will talk about what my software does and its functionality. So for each image in an uploaded folder, the program draws a box around each detected sea lion. And at the top of the image, it writes either sea lions present or no sea lions. So these images are examples of images that have been uploaded to the software, and it returns a new image with bounding boxes and these labels at the top. Another feature of the software is that if an image is blurry, the software can label it as blurry image. So it will write blurry image at the top of the top here.
Is it blurry because of water droplets, or is it because the camera itself shakes because of wind? What is the reason for blurry images?
Or maybe another animal is obstructing it. That could happen too.
Yeah,
Very close. Yeah. Okay.
can be a bunch of different causes. Sometimes water droplets come and they like blur up the lens, so they block the lens. Could also be snow that comes on the lens. Could be fog that causes the scene to be not very clear.
Yeah.
Bunch of different causes, yeah. And also sometimes what happens is the image is very, very dark.
Okay.
So even if the image itself is sharp, but it can also be dark, this detection here, the blurry image, it will also cover that. I can go over how the blurry image detection works later. It uses OpenCV to detect whether an image is blurry or not. But anyway, we can go over that later. So as I was showing you earlier, the program, it creates these labeled images with these bounding boxes. But in addition to the labeled images, it also creates an Excel sheet. And it creates an Excel sheet that has two sheets within it. So one sheet called detections, one sheet called summary. And I can give you some examples, and also I'll do a demo later. So here's an example of a bunch of images that have been uploaded. So the first image, it says 1+ sea lions. That means that at least one sea lion was found. Same thing here, image 10, image 2. Some of these have no sea lions. And then the bottom one here, we see, move this thing out of the way. It's a blurry image. So the results that are found on the labeled images are portrayed here on the Excel sheet. So that's the detection sheet. As I said earlier, it has two sheets. This is the first sheet. The second sheet is called the summary sheet, and it has the number of images in total that were uploaded, the number of those that actually have sea lions, and the number of those that are blurry. So the software has 97% accuracy in detecting whether or not there's at least one sea lion in the image. And also it has a speed of about 1 image per second. The speed can vary based on internet connection, because my software uses an API that is internet based. So that can obviously depend. And also my computer, which I tested this software on, is not the fastest computer. So that might also be a contributor to the speed. I tested my software on a different computer, it ran much faster. So yeah, the next stage is how I trained and deployed my model into my Python script. So I gathered a bunch of images from the Killer Whale Count website, and I used automated labeling by a website called Hasty AI. And Hasty AI, it's really useful software. It can do a lot of automated labeling. You can just click inside a region and it will automatically do the labeling for you. Sometimes it's able to do the entire image. Sometimes you still have to go back and do some corrections to the labels that it makes.
So Andrew, we cannot see the image here. It says,
that was a GIF, a GIF image of Hasty AI automated labeling.
Okay.
I guess when I exported it as a PDF, it didn't work. If you'd
do you
like, I
have
can
the
try.
link? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pull up the link.
Let me see. Hasty AI. Let's see if I can get it. So Hasty AI, they do a lot of different types of automated labeling. They can do instance segmentation, they can do object detection, they can do classification. So it's extremely useful tool. This particular example, if I can get the GIF to load, this one has instance segmentation. The one I did in particular is object detection, but here's just an example. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go. So you can see, you just click inside the region and it will automatically, still loading. All right, let's see if we can get to load. Still loading. There we go. So you click inside this region here, and it automatically highlights the entire line. Same thing here. You click and it highlights the entire thing. So it's very useful and very time saving. And also it's free. So I use that. And then to train the model after I have the data set, I uploaded all the images to Roboflow, and I created a data set, and they have a bunch of augmentation options that you can put. So there's flip, rotate, crop, rotate, etc. And these types of augmentation can be used to create a more broad data set that would work regardless of the camera orientation, the brightness of the camera, and all these different types of factors that could possibly throw your model off and cause poor detections. So after I generated the data set, I clicked, they have inside Roboflow a train button. So you can automatically train the model. And then once you have the model trained, they give you this little code snippet. You can copy and paste this into your Python script. They also have JavaScript and other types of programming languages here. So that will automatically perform the inference using the Roboflow API. So it's very simple to train and very simple to use. This particular train that I mentioned, this training process, it is not free. However, I was able to talk to Roboflow CEO Joseph Nelson. I showed him my project and he was happy to give me 10 training credits, which means for each credit that you have, you can train the model once. So he gave me 10 training credits, which I used. And also I got a free trial of the more accurate version of the training. So when you do training, there are two types of versions. There's fast version and accurate version. I was able to get a free trial of the accurate version. So that was very much appreciated.
Yeah, that's a great, we try to put this over on the show whenever we can. Satya likes to talk about this. It never hurts to ask. If you have a project and maybe you need, there's some resources you don't have, but you know how to maybe get them. It never hurts to ask. And Roboflow specifically is pretty generous with their credits, especially for kind of public good type projects like this. So ask if you need help. You'll be surprised how often it works.
Yeah. Also, after I finished my project, I created a blog post on the Roboflow website. So if you'd ever be interested in reading a written description of my project, let's see. It's called Using Computer Vision to Save Sea Lions. You can search it up on the internet. I'm not going to go over that now, but
yeah, I'll drop the link in the chat and in the YouTube show notes as well for folks.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's good. All right. So and then also probably what you're most interested in as people from OpenCV is how Steller site incorporates OpenCV. So OpenCV plays quite an essential role in the software. For those who do not know, which I hope is nobody since we're on an OpenCV webinar, OpenCV is an open source library for computer vision and image processing. So the way that my software uses computer OpenCV, that is it uses OpenCV to draw the bounding boxes. So the API, it automatically retrieves the coordinates of the bounding boxes using the API as a JSON object. And then after that, the OpenCV uses those coordinates to draw the boxes. And also, as I was showing you earlier, we have at the top of the image, we have these labels here and these borders, these black borders. Those are created using OpenCV. What else? Oh yeah, also another thing that I used it for is the Laplacian value. And for those who do not know, the Laplacian value of an image is basically a numerical rating of how sharp it is. So I used OpenCV's Laplacian value calculator to determine whether or not an image is blurry. So if the Laplacian value of a certain image is under a certain number, then that means the image is blurry. If the Laplacian value is above that certain threshold number, then the image is clear. So that was also very useful. Okay, so that's what I have to present. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Why did you not count the animals? Good question. This particular website that I passed by, Killer Whale Count, they did not ask for individual counting, so I didn't see the need for that. If they had needed it, maybe I could perhaps do it. There are some organizations that I've been talking to. I've been talking to biologists from NOAA. I showed them my project and they said they like it a lot. They're really excited to use it. It can save them a huge amount of time and effort and money, obviously. And they said that they would like me to do an upgrade of the software where it does include individual counting. So that's something that can perhaps happen in the future. And I would be happy to implement that. What else?
That's cool. I've got a couple questions here from YouTube. You go ahead and unshare your screen there, Andrew,
yeah, sure.
and we'll do some Q&A here. So we've got a couple here from YouTube. Let's Hitch on YouTube says, Andrew, great presentation. Do you think there's an opportunity for drone or satellite imagery in this workflow?
There is, and actually there is already pre-existing work done with drones. So I believe like 5 years ago, there was a competition on a website called Kaggle. Maybe if you've heard of Kaggle.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of drone images and they were asking people on the internet to develop computer vision models to detect the sea lions on this, the sea lions that are present in the drone imagery. So that is something that is existing. And also this is useful because it doesn't disturb the sea lions much. When you're flying up high, it doesn't really bother them. It's almost as if it's like a bird or something like that. It's not creating a huge amount of noise.
I have a question about, how many people in your class, are interested in computer vision? Is it just you? How did you get introduced to computer vision? And are people in your class? Because the reason I'm asking is that completely independently, there's another high schooler who had contacted us, and he had actually taken 3 of our courses. OpenCV has these deep learning as well as traditional computer vision courses, and he had completed 3 of our courses. And I was just surprised that he was able to do it. And now I see you just a few days later, right? So is it something that people in your class are talking about, AI in general or computer vision, or you just got interested somehow?
Just me. I don't know anybody else who does computer vision, to be honest. It's kind of sad, but hopefully that's something that can change. I learned about OpenCV. I was passing on the internet. There's this one programmer, his name is Nicholas Renote. I passed by one of his tutorials on the internet, TensorFlow, OpenCV, something in that sort.
Yeah. And
that's how I heard about it. And yeah, that's how I got involved. Got it.
Very cool. Yeah, it's awesome to see young folks getting into the field and doing such, like, I mean, this is professional level work. Like it's really impressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I invested a lot of time into this project.
I can tell.
And something that probably slowed down the process a lot is that the scope of the project changed multiple times.
Yeah. Right.
For example,
I mean, that's welcome to the real world, right?
It's a taste of real life. Yeah, it's a taste of real life for sure.
If I were ever to do something like this again, it'd probably take like, I don't know, maybe 10% of the time, because this is my first ever computer vision. I still had no idea what object detection is. I had no idea what augmentation is, any of that kind of stuff. So, but now I have like a lot of experience under my belt, not to brag, but
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. You will actually end up spending about the same amount of time because you'll be tackling, you'll be tackling harder problems, and you will learn. There's so much to learn. You'll be learning new things. You'll be tackling harder problems, right? And so, it's one of those things. Our parents used to say, you in 10th grade, oh, you just passed 10th grade, life will be easy, right? You passed 12th grade, life will be easy. You do engineering, life would be easy. Life is never easy. It keeps getting harder and more complex, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I just hope that you tackle harder problems, right? And you spend just even more time learning new things, right? That will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my experience, I think the more familiar you are with a domain or type of work, you actually just notice more problems. And so beginners don't necessarily see everything, but the more you know, the more you see. And so but it is true that the first time you do everything takes the longest. The next time you won't hit the same issues, but you'll uncover new exciting problems that you didn't know you even had yet. And so that's what a career is like. Partha, our trivia shark, Partha would like to know how does your model perform in low light conditions, and is that a real problem with these sort of automated trail cameras?
Low light conditions, to be honest, there aren't really that many low light images. Maybe I've gone through, when I go through the images on the Universe website, I have to download them. So I had to go through a lot of images to download them for my data set.
Gotcha.
So I maybe went through a couple thousand images manually, just download them. I didn't really see that many low light images. So I don't think that's a significant issue.
So with this data so far, it's just not a thing that is used. It's just, again, another potential complication. Like with experience comes, to see is to always see too much, is the way I like to phrase that. Ronald on YouTube would like to know, how well does this detect sea lions that are like engaging with each other, either in like, fighting or just messing around, or like touching each other? Does it segment them well apart from each other?
That's something that could be a subject of improvement, because these sea lions, maybe you see in some of the images, they like to pile on top of each other. I don't know why. They just like to huddle, and that makes them super hard, even if I'm doing it by my human eye, for me to individually distinguish them. So that is something, if I were to ever do that kind of individual counting, that might require instant segmentation, maybe so that I can get in between them. I can just try to find, because if you have all these boxes, they might be overlapping too much, but if you have instant segmentation, maybe that would be a little bit more precise. I don't know, that's just a possible theory. I've never done instant segmentation myself, to be honest, but
Gotcha. Let's go ahead and do our giveaway here before we get too late in the show. So if you're just joining us for the first time, or if you need a little reminder, one of the things we do every single week here on OpenCV Weekly Webinar is give away something to you in the audience watching along on Zoom. If you're not in Zoom, you can get there by going to opencv.live. That link always works, by the way. So if you ever forget it, just think OpenCV live, opencv.live. Ain't that something? We'll be giving away an OpenCV course of your choosing. You can see what courses are available by going to opencv.org/courses. Get ready to answer in the Zoom chat window. The first person to answer correctly will win the course of their choosing. If you've won in the last 2 months, please do not answer and give someone else a chance to answer. This one is a little bit different, inspired by last week's question. Sea lions are actually all up and down the coast of California. There is a well-known tourist spot here in San Francisco, in fact, that has a bunch of sea lions that migrated there after the 1989 earthquake. What tourist attraction is that? All right, we got Dan. You're close, Dan. You're close. The general, yeah, there we go. I see Christian's got, Dan, I think technically I got to give it to Enrique first here. The answer, the specific answer is Pier 39. I would have accepted Fisherman's Wharf, which Christian answered here first, but he came in a little bit late. So I would say Enrique, Pier 39 is the specific area where there's like several hundred of them during the year. And it's one of those things that people don't really know about the great city of San Francisco. We have, not only do we have bison, but we also have sea lions. In fact, there was back in the 40s, there was a professional. There were a couple of ball teams here in the city. One of which was part of the tail end of the Negro League here, called the San Francisco Sea Lions. And occasionally, the San Francisco Giants, the current baseball team, will play in throwback uniforms with the San Francisco Sea Lions on them. So, little San Francisco history for you here, Enrique. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org with the course you would like, and I will make sure that the courses team gets that to you in your account free of charge. We've got a couple more questions here.
Yes.
I'd also like to, so before, got a couple more questions. Some people asked about your slides, Andrew. Would you be willing to share your slides as part of the, like, upload them somewhere so people can, look over them later?
Where should I upload them?
I'll hook you up with that.
Okay, yeah.
We'll talk about it after the show and get them up on the YouTube show notes.
Yeah, sure.
I also have a small gift for you, Andrew. Send me your physical address, and I'll send you one of these OpenCV AI kit cameras, which
awesome.
Which you can use. It has depth, so you'll have fun. It has depth as well as you can run the neural network on the device itself. In fact, you can run the model you trained on the camera itself, right? And you just hook it up to your host computer using a USB-C cable, and it works. So send your address. I'll send you.
Yeah, and our friends at Roboflow even have one-click oak support on that trained model. You can just deploy it directly to the camera, which is pretty sweet. Enrique,
I bought a bunch of these cameras last Christmas to give it to my friends, and I couldn't find worthy enough people. So yeah, there are a few left. I gave away a bunch, but there are a few left.
Right on. Yeah, and if you want to pick up your own OpenCV AI kit, you can do that at shop.opencv.ai, I believe.
That's very cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll try to get you some stickers as well, Andrew. I've got some OpenCV swag, a secret stash of OpenCV swag here at my Wizard Tower in Soma. So we'll see what we can do with that as well. We're gonna do our little announcement here. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll give our OpenCV AI Scavenger Hunt winners their due. So if folks aren't aware, during the month of October, every Monday, we did a four-part scavenger hunt. The way this worked was I would generate an image using Stable Diffusion, and the goal was for the participants, which was open to anybody, to guess the prompt that I used to generate that image. Now, they didn't just have to guess by looking at the picture. There were also some, I'll go down here. You can see some of the puzzles. This was the week 4 puzzle. They were also given 2 OpenVino notebooks, open source notebooks from our friends at Intel and the OpenVino toolkit team, and then 2 different assets, either an image or a video, to run the notebooks against, which gave you clues to successfully guess what the prompt was. We did 4 weeks of this. There was a random winner chosen each week from these successful hunters to win a weekly prize of $125. But we also are announcing our grand prize winners, which were Pierre Maginot, who wins the only one to successfully guess all 4 weeks
Wow.
Congratulations. There were some close ones, but he was the only one to do all 4 weeks. We'll actually have a video from Pierre uploaded to our YouTube channel a little bit later in this week, or possibly early next week. Thanking everyone for our sponsors and everything, and he seemed very happy about his big win. We also had the Hunter's Prize, which went to Dilesh Mutta, which is the prize given to someone who, Dilesh actually successfully guessed 3 of the weeks, and we randomly chose that winner from people who had guessed it correctly in any week. And then there was the Hunter's Prize, which was won by Ivan Felipe Rodriguez, who won a random drawing of everybody that participated in any week, regardless of whether they won. Thanks so much to everyone who participated in this, and thanks especially to our sponsors at Intel. The OpenVino Toolkit is an incredible tool. We talk about it here on the channel all the time. All this stuff is open source too, so you should go check it out. If you would like to be notified when we do this again, which we very well may, please go to opencv.org/hunt, and you can sign up here, and you'll be notified if we do any more of these sort of AI scavenger hunt type contests, or any upcoming new OpenCV contests at all. Speaking of which, the deadline is approaching for the OpenCV AI Competition 2022, the 2-track setup there. The current deadline is December 18. We've got a bunch of teams building really cool stuff using the OpenCV stack, and also people working to improve the depth estimation capabilities of OpenCV AI Kit Pro. We've also got we've got some more stuff going on here with OpenCV Face Recognition. So Tia, would you like to talk a little bit about that before we head home?
Yeah, so OpenCV Face Recognition, we launched a beta a few weeks back, and we got some feedback. We fixed some issues, mostly on the website stuff, not really the model stuff. Model is very robust. So now we have opened it up for everybody, and I recommend that people go and try it out. For all the people who have registered before January 1st, 2023, we will put them in a lucky draw, and 100 of those people will get premium access. So premium access gives you more free stuff. So I highly recommend that if you want to use this for your personal projects as well as for your industrial applications, where it needs to be very robust, this OpenCV Face Recognition is really good solution. It is state of the art, and it is in the top 10 in the NIST competition. So, and top 10, once you're at that level, the differences between them is minor, right? It's only in extreme cases, some may be slightly better than the others. So this is a very, very good solution. So you can use, and even the free tier is great. We actually increase the number of API calls available for free tier to, I think, 1,000 per day, which means that you can use it for your personal projects. And if you register now, the free tier would continue, right? So this is, and I don't know, depending on the demand, etc., how long we will be able to provide this kind of generous API, because 1,000 APIs calls a day, that pretty much ensures that you don't, if you want to build a class attendance solution or a lot of things, 1,000 is more than enough, right? So yeah, please try it out. Highly recommend you to try it out. And the link to go through is opencv.org/opencv-face-recognition. You'll also see a demo where you can upload your own picture and try it out. You can also try it.
The link is also there on the opencv.org homepage. You'll see a little thing that says face recognition. There's a demo, as Satya said. Yep.
Yeah, and the fun part, one of the fun things is that you can upload a picture of yourself, which is slightly younger, which I did, and it does, it barely recognizes it, but it does recognize me when I was 19 years old versus now, which is quite fascinating, because my 19-year-old picture is actually a scanned picture, not even a real, digital
Not even a
image.
digital, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
it's quite fascinating. And we also did this thing for doppelgangers. So New York Times had this article about people who look very similar, but they are not even related, right? They are not related they are not, twins or anything. And we did, and it tells them apart, right? It's not confused. So yeah, please try it out. Very exciting.
Yeah, a couple of folks had questions about submitting things for OpenCV AI competition. Any questions you have whatsoever, the best thing to do would be to send an email to competition@opencv.org, and that'll make sure that everybody that needs to see it and can answer your question will see it and get you an answer. Good luck out there to everybody. Stay tuned to your email inboxes for more information on the competition. Andrew, any final thoughts before we head home here? If people want to find you on the internet or check out some of your projects, what's the best way for them to do that?
To be honest, I haven't set up a social media account.
Oh, good.
Perhaps I should start doing that.
Lucky you.
Lucky you. Good. That's why he's getting all the stuff done,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a productive way to go. I was thinking,
but GitHub is a good one.
yeah,
You should.
do it.
Yeah.
I was thinking back about everything that we covered, and I realized that something is missing, which is a demo of my software, which is, if you don't mind, will be very quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I totally forgot about that, which is
Brave live demo. Always have time for a live demo.
Right. So it's an EXE application. You just double tap it. It's on your desktop. So then it'll take a couple, maybe 10 seconds to load. All right, once that loads.
This very, very professional app icon. I dig it.
So you can open a folder, click browse, and then you can
really interesting.
Select a folder of images. I already have a prepared folder of images here. Demo, select folder, just click run. And then it just loads.
What did you use to build this? Is this like Qt or?
This is
the UI toolkit.
I used Python, and then I use PySimple GUI.
Okay.
The interface.
Yeah, there's a wealth of different GUI libraries for Python out there. But it's nice that you took this extra step. It's funny. Again, most of the 40-year-old engineers like me that I know wouldn't bother building a GUI at all. They'd just be running terminal commands.
Nice.
You're showing us all up, Andrew.
And once you have the results loaded, it gives you an alert saying done. Click OK to see the results. So there's that results folder. It has all the results.
Cool.
Click OK, and I will automatically open the folder. There we go. So then, as I was saying earlier, here are all the labeled images. And then at the bottom, you have the Excel spreadsheet. So we can go over some of these particular images. Just show you some examples. All right.
It's neat that it generates an XLS for you as well, which is an additional step that, yeah, very, very nice workflow.
Yeah, I use Excel Writer, which is a Python.
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
So
Again,
then,
Python's the best. I love Python so much.
Yeah, Python is the best for everything. So for some reason, it does not allow me to go through all the images. It doesn't have the arrows, but here's one of the images.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, this is even, this is kind of blurry. It's a little hazy from possibly due to humidity or just the water or whatnot, but it's still detected a ton of even some pretty difficult looking ones here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, many humans would have missed some of these for sure.
Also...
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and this is the Excel spreadsheet that I was talking about. The sections and summary. I myself still have Excel 2007. I'm kind of old school when it comes to Microsoft Office, but yeah, I like this one.
Man, I'm still using OpenOffice over here. You got me beat.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so
All right,
much.
That's
Yeah, go ahead and unshare your screen, and we'll go through our outro here. It's 10:03 a.m. here on the Best Coast. That means it is time for us to go home. Satya, you want to take us home?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. It was a pleasure having you here, and it is very inspiring to a lot of people, even to see a high schooler interested in computer vision and doing such great work. And you also chose your problems very carefully, which is very nice. It's not just a toy that you built; it is something that is useful and will be used by other people. So great job on that, and I wish you all the best on your future endeavors. Thank you, Phil, for organizing this show, as always. And thanks to our audience for showing up every week. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much. All right.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. I am Phil Nelson, wishing you a great day wherever you may be.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the webinar. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to tap the little bell icon to be notified when new episodes drop. This week's episode was brought to you by OpenCV Courses. Learn computer vision and AI from the best at opencv.org/courses. If you'd like to be in the audience next week, subscribe to the OpenCV newsletter.